How's it going, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're doing another tier list. So today, as you can see, we are doing a Doctor Who Dalek Stories tier list from 2005 to 2021. Now, in this, the tier lists are masterpiece, very good, good, average, poor, bad, and downright awful. Now, there are some episodes which do have Daleks in them, but Daleks aren't the main villain or the main focus of the episode. So these episodes won't be involved in this tier list. Those include Time of the Doctor, Big Bang, Pandora Opens, and multiple stories like that. So, starting us off, we have got Series 1's Dalek. Now, this was my introduction of the Dalek, and I did get very scared of the Daleks. It resolved a lot of issues with the Daleks from Classic Who, apparently, with the hovering now, and I really did enjoy this, and I would say this is a masterpiece because it shows how scared the Doctor is after the Time War, how the Dalek breaks him and the Dalek is there and he believed they were all gone, and it just was a masterpiece. I love watching this episode. Now, the next episode is also from Series 1. It's Bad Wolf and Parting of the Ways. Now, this one is the one where Rose is sent away and the Doctor has to defeat all the Daleks. Captain Jack gets killed. Rose looks into the TARDIS, comes back, blah, blah, blah. And the Daleks get defeated again and she burns all the Daleks to the ground. Now, this one, it was very good. It wasn't quite a masterpiece because the Daleks, yes, they were petrifying still. They were terrifying to hear coming up or down. And the Doctor kind of knew that they were going to go down before coming up and sent everyone into that trap. But he was doing it to delay, so he had more time to try to save everyone. I just love that episode, but it wasn't as good as Dalek because the Doctor was petrified still, but he wasn't as scared as in the first one, where we also showed the Dalek has got a softer side with what it did with Rose compared to just the downright murderers that they were in that episode. So the next Dalek story is Army of Ghosts and Doomsday. This is from Series 2 and it's got Mickey, Rose and the new Doctor at the time of the 10th Doctor, David Tennant. I did love this story. It shows them go up against the Cybermen, go up against Tortured, which we were finally introduced to after God knows how long. So to me, this was a very good episode. It wasn't perfect. No, it was. It was a masterpiece, if I'm honest, because it was portrayed that they were going to be the Cybermen all the way from Army of Ghosts. Then on Doomsday, the Daleks just came out of nowhere with the Void Ship. Out of the Void Ship, sorry. And they also bought the Ark, which Mickey touched and let all the Daleks. It was just amazing to me. And I really do love that episode. It is a masterclass. So the next one, we have got Daleks in Manhattan and Evolution of the Dalek. This is the one from Series 3 where Martha Jones came back. And the trend we got while Russell T Davies was writing was at least one Dalek story per series. And this one, it was a good story. It wasn't the best because, yes, the Daleks were still scary and they did have the pig slaves. But Dalek Sec became a hybrid and betrayed the Daleks and he got changed up, but he wanted change and did show he was good, like in the Daleks in the first episode that we saw them, show that Daleks could be good. But then the other Daleks turned on him with Dalek Thay, Dalek Cannon, Dalek Jast, and it did attach feelings to it with the 10th Doctor, giving them a new planet to start over instead of taking them to Skaro. But I just didn't enjoy that story as much as other stories on the list to come and that have been there. So the next story we have got is Journey's End and Stolen Earth. Stolen Earth was before Journey's End, and this was basically the Avengers of Doctor Who before its time. We got to see Davros for the first time. We got the Dr. Donna eventually. We got the 10th Doctor and the human version of the 10th Doctor. We got Rose, Jackie, Mickey, Martha. We also got Captain Jack come back. It was just an absolutely amazing episode overall. And in this, it showed how twisted Davros had become, how he was willing to do so much compared to what the other Daleks have already done. The Doctor saying that he was a pet of the Supreme Dalek and just setting the balance of the Daleks off. It was a masterpiece, if I'm totally honest. I love that episode. I do love to watch that episode now and then. And I've now got all the figures from that episode. If you check the video I did last week, where I picked up the Crucible Dalek figure in an unboxing, which you should check out. So the next one we have got is from one of my favourite series. If you look at last week's video again, I also did a tier list there, and that does show where I place the series. So I might place a Dalek episode from a series I didn't like at the very top, but the overall series I didn't like, so I would check that out too to see my opinion on where I believe the series are, and then that might give you an insight of how I actually see these Dalek stories. But Series 5, Victory of the Daleks. Now, I absolutely love this series. I love the new redesign of the Daleks, even though they did look like M&Ms. And it did have Ironside in it. It did show a different fear of the Daleks. And I think that was a very good episode, to be honest. But the Daleks just seemed to know how to get away from the Doctor that time, and it just made so much more of a twist. And with the Doctor being this new fun bubbly character, having to break down, make the hard decisions and try to tick them with a jammy dodger of all things, I love that episode and I'd love to rewatch it. But when it first aired, I actually missed the episode. I went to school and everyone was talking about the Daleks returning. I didn't even know what the episode was called. I completely missed everything about it. And the next day, as soon as I got home, I watched it and watched it again and again because I needed to know what happened in the Dalek story. So for the next story, we've got Asylum with the Daleks. This is the first one of Series 6, I believe. And it's the one where we meet Jenna Coleman, and it's a big trick and a twist at the end. It's a good story. It wasn't terrible, but I did enjoy it. I don't think any of these stories, if I'm honest, are going to be in the bad and awful stage. I think it's literally just going to be like average at the bottom. None of them were poor, bad or awful, but it's just how good they were, because I really do like the Daleks, if I'm honest. But Asylum of the Daleks, it had a great twist. It brought Rory and Amy back together. It showed the type of person the Doctor was, with risking his own life to save other people's, when he did with Amy. And I absolutely loved that episode. Now, the next episode we've got, it was called Into the Dalek. For me, this wasn't a memorable episode at all. I'm going to put it at poor. Everything I've just said has gone out the window. I really didn't like this episode. Wasn't memorable at all. Every time I rewatch it, I can forget it in a few days. So I don't appreciate this episode. To me, it was very boring, very drab, very forgettable. But if you've got a different opinion, drop it in the comment below and explain to me what I've been missing from the episode, because I really do want to know what I was missing. So then after this, we've got The Magician's Apprentice and Witch's Familiar. And they did actually release a box set of, well, now B&M have actually released a figure set after this, and I do believe the story is good, to be honest. Well, better than the last one. I mean, it's average story to me. I mean, yes, we see the return of classic Daleks. Yes, we see modern Daleks in there, and the Dalek and Davros having a new connection, and the Doctor saving Davros, which kind of makes every Dalek story before it irrelevant. Because if the Daleks did kill the Doctor when they had the chance, he wouldn't have been able to save Davros as a child, which means then it would be a paradox, because the Daleks would have never been created, so the Daleks couldn't have then destroyed the Doctor, because they'd already destroyed him, which meant they couldn't be created. And it's a mind boggler, and I do like the story, but it is an average watch. Like, I can miss this story, and I can miss the other stories. Like, when it comes to good, very good, and masterpiece, I do not miss those stories when watching through Daleks. Like when the latest Dalek story was released, I watched all of these in order, and I could happily miss Magician's Apprentice, which is familiar, Into the Dalek, happily miss them because they weren't substantial to me. Now, the next story we've got is Resolution. Now, defeating a Dalek with a microwave cooker. Where do I put that on a tier list? It was a very good story. It did reenact like it brought the Daleks back as a strong force and did make me fear Daleks again until it was defeated by a microwave cooker. I've got to put it a good story apart from the end, because the end. No, I'm going to put it as a very good story actually. The end just kind of ruined it for me. No, good. It's a good story. Not moving it. The ending ruined it. It didn't make sense. That's where it's staying. I've got to stick with it because the more I think of it, the more I want to put it up, then down, and it's staying at a good story. Especially within this story, the Dalek could take over people's bodies and manipulate them to do what it wanted to do. It's a good story. I can't miss this story when watching it, but the ending just, no, it doesn't make sense, the ending. Then we've got Revolution of the Daleks. Now, for me, this one brought a lot of nostalgia back with Captain Jack coming back, mentions of Gwen Cooper from Torchwood, the fan being there and showing the strength and weaknesses between the three. Ryan and Graham leaving, Yaz being angry at the Doctor for disappearing for months upon end. I really do like this story. I'm going to put this in very good. It's nowhere up with Journey's End or Doomsday, but it is a very, very good story. And I do enjoy watching it. Like, I've watched it a few times since release. Not a lot, if I'm being honest, but I do enjoy that story. So this is my tier list. I haven't got any in bad or awful because, in my opinions, Daleks can't be bad or awful. I mean, they're an iconic villain, and it is a very good episode. But we have got a few in, one in poor, one in average. But then Masterpiece, good and very good, do kind of level out the story. So overall, I'd say most of the Doctor Who stories are very good when it comes with the Daleks. But you do have one or two which always slip through the cracks. So that's it for this week's video. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next week for some more Doctor Who content.